Next question.
I have it here. Mr. Branch, you mentioned earlier that there were 3 founders of the American Negro Theater, and you said that the third one, who is often forgotten, is Austin Briggs Hall. Can you tell us more about Mr. Hall and why he might have been so forgotten?
I didn't quite get.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
I heard you, but I didn't quite.
She's right here.
You must understand.
Austin Briggs Hall?
When you get to your late age, as I now am, you very often hear somebody, but you don't necessarily get exactly what they said.
That is right
I'm
there.
asking you about Austin Briggs Hall.
Austin
and,
Briggs Hall.
He was the 3rd founder of the American Negro Theater.
Yes.
And why he might have been so forgotten by history.
Well, I don't know. You know, whoever wrote the things that are on the wall in the exhibit apparently didn't know very much about Austin Briggs Hall. They were not included in the writing about the founding of the American Negro Theater. Now, there is a list there of members of the American Negro Theater over the years, and his name is included. By the way, my name is not included. And as I have said over and over again, I worked with members of the American Negro Theater. By the time I got to New York, it was breathing its last gasp. So that I don't claim to have been a member of this stated group. I respect them, but I was not a member. Austin Briggs Hall was.
Okay. Next question.
I'm glad we remember him now. So.
Hi, my name is Kim Moore. I'm a professor at Brown, and I was just thrilled to hear that you were a theater major in 1945. Do you have any advice? I have several students who take classes, but they are warned by their parents not to study theater. This was the same case. Do you have any advice for young African American students about majoring in theater? Like, did it do something particular for you? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What would you say now?
Well, fortunately, I didn't really discuss it with my parents. My parents were still in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I spent 4 years there in high school. And my last year of high school was taken at the famous Dunbar High School in Washington, D.C., where I was fortunate enough to win a couple of oratorical contests, which were popular in those days, as well as being involved in theater. My speech teacher suggested that I consider Northwestern University with the scholarship, and since my parents weren't paying for it, I took my scholarship to Northwestern University. So the attitude, though, in those days, particularly among people involved in black religion, was that being involved in theater was a great sin. I remember, for example, my mother commented when she heard that a cousin of mine in New York had become a member of the American Negro Theater. Josephine Cooper was her name. And my mother was telling somebody, well, they say Josephine's gone on the stage.
Okay. You know, here's what I want to point out. Okay. A student, male or female, looking at your work, Kim, both at Sarah Lawrence and now at Brown, and talking to those people in theater who know your work and someone says, I want to study, more than likely, dealing with how they work and what they do, they're going to send them to you. So it really doesn't matter what the mother or father says. You know, what really matters is when that student sit down and see a young African-American woman, director, with so many histories. I think from Boston too, right?
Amherst.
Yeah, Amherst. Okay, I know it so well there. But there's a guy I really look up to who talks about you all the time. You know, I don't know if you all know Paul Carter Harrison, but he really respects Kim's work. And I hope you're well ensconced at Brown because you're among theater historians, theater teachers, professors who head colleges, so you might walk out the door and be pulled away from there. You're okay. Next question.
Okay, time for maybe one more.
Maybe one more.
Brown University, my alma mater.
How many more, baby?
Huh?
How many more questions?
Just one.
Just one.
Thanks, Ben.
Unless there's a burn.
Thanks, Ben. Mr. Branch, this is Eugene Nesmith. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right, Eugene Nesmith. I wanted you to ask you a question in regard to the American Negro Theater and the importance of the American Negro Theater and the people that they spawn. Because one of the things I like to talk
You know
about.
he already talked about that. You just got to.
I saw you walk in.
Okay, all right.
Let me ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What I want to ask in terms of the American Negro Theater, and one of the things I want to talk about here today is institution building. And one certainly can make the argument that the American Negro Theater is one of the most important African American Negro theater of the 20th century, along with the Negro Ensemble Company. We know what happened to the American Negro Theater after about 9 to 10 years, their demise. And now we also know pretty much the demise of the Negro Ensemble Company. What do you think it would have taken for the American Negro Theater to survive? And what would have been its significance today if it was still alive?
Well, some people have said that the success of the cast has spelled the doom of the American Negro Theater. Because of its success, that is, Alabama's success, other groups and other artists set their sights on Broadway, not just being involved in an institutional theater that would continue as a legacy for some time. That may be true. I wasn't there when it happened, so I can't tell you. All I can say is that there was no question that the American Negro Theater became a charging force that continues to this very day. Last year, I had the opportunity of visiting Earl Hyman, who is now at the Actors Home in New Jersey. Now, to the best of my knowledge, he and Belafonte and Sidney Poitier are the last surviving members that came out of that group. Now, there are many others that I don't know.
Gertrude Jeanette.
Gertrude Jeanette, absolutely, yes. Who reached her
101.
101. There you go. There you go. Right. But the force that came from the American Negro Theater, despite the fact that people can't live forever, still charges many of the efforts that are taking place today. These conditions have changed. Woodie told me just this afternoon that his group and perhaps others now have to meet full equity requirements. Well, there were no such requirements in those days. People did these things because of their love of theater and their passion for advancing themes having to do with African Americans.
Okay, let me conclude by saying, Eugene, the New Federal Theater is 46 years old. We've never not had a season. The National Black Theater is 48 years old. I'm sure they'll talk about it. Roger Furman's New Heritage Repertory Theater is almost 54 years old. So there are ways of negotiating this system, and this is a system we're in. And the ability to negotiate this system is the ability of Dr. Barbara Ann Tier to know the Downtown Theater, the European Theater, the dance, the African Theater, the knowledge of how to negotiate this system. It's to know African American theater, to know white American theater, to know European theater. You cannot know one. If you're not well versed in all of European theater, you cannot run a black theater. Okay, so with that, and with Benny kind of nodding, I know it's time, and there's the other panels that's coming on, you've got to listen to them. They represent all these theaters that we're talking about. And Benny Ambush has pulled them together, which is a difficult task. That task organization of running the theater, and oh yeah, I got to be at the Harlem Hospital on December 4th. And they got to exist today, which might be June, because Benny went after them a long time ago. Thank you, Benny.
Well, thank you, two gentlemen.